Hey, you all. Welcome to week 2 of NTI. I hope week 1 was successful and fun and informative for you. And I hope that we can continue to be successful in week 2. We got this. So, I wanted to go over what to expect again. So, just like last week, all of your work should appear on your Google Classroom on Monday around 8 a.m. All of your work is going to be due then that next Sunday at 11:59 p.m. What that means is that you get to work at your own pace. Work at the pace that works best for the situation, for you, for your household, for your technology, whatever that might be. Now, last week, a lot of our work was done on Edpuzzle. This week, a lot of our work is going to be on Google Forms, and I'm going to show you those in a second. This is all new, uncharted territory for us. Now, we do have familiarity from regular class, with all of the technology pieces that we're using, but this is still new, and I hope that you find it fun and easy. So, some reminders about this. Make sure that your work for any assignments is always attached. Make sure that you turn in your assignments, and I believe that is a mark as done button. That's always in the right corner. And remember that on Edpuzzle, I can see how much time you take on each video. So make sure that you're being thorough, you're watching the entire thing, and that you're answering any questions that are posted there. If you're having any issues during all of this time, remember that there's multiple ways that you can get a hold of me. You can always email me. I also have posted on Google Classroom a form where you can put any questions, concerns, problems that you're having. I also am daily available for a Google Meet office hours. So I've had a couple people come each of the days. It was nice to see some familiar faces to talk. I will be there to answer questions, give you a good smile, cheer you up, pump you up, give you a pep talk, whatever you need that day. There'll be a link that is posted that you can access and come join in. I also posted a survey on Google Classroom about week 1. Kind of want to just get some feedback on how you thought it went. I have an idea of what these weeks and what your time is going to look like, but I want to see what you guys think about it. All right. So we are continuing with this unit on material science. So thinking about how the molecular structure of matter relates to the properties of matter, and why then objects are made of the material that they are made out of. You don't need to write these down, but our we wills and I wills for this week, and then our vocabulary for this week. So it's the same as last week, by the way. So your assignments this week: first, number 1 is to watch this video on Edpuzzle, answer any questions that I post with it. Second is a reading. So just like if we were in class, in the folders you'd have a text, and then you'd have your own paper to answer some questions on, same kind of deal. So you will have a reading. It is a material science. It's called material science reading. You will notice that the reading is kind of chunked up. And so what Miss Frisbee and I have done, is that we chunked up the text and put the questions as a way to divide the text. So you will then, the second thing that will be added on this assignment is a Google form where you'll be answering some questions. So the first question: what is material science? You will read this first chunk of text, and from this first chunk of text, you should be able to answer that first question. You'll read this little next chunk of text. That should allow you to answer question number 2, and so on and so forth. So that is your second assignment of this week. So 1 is Edpuzzle, watching this instruction video. 2 is this reading and form on Google Classroom. Next, this is your third assignment, is again also like something that we would do in class. It's kind of just like a worksheet that I've turned into a Google form. So you'll be doing some matching, you'll be doing some finding some definitions, you'll be classifying, filling in some blanks, just kind of like a regular worksheet that you would do in class. Okay, so that is assignment number 3. The last assignment, I'm going to spend a couple minutes going over this. This is a mini, almost practice CER. So the final assignment of this unit is going to have you thinking about why certain materials are chosen for certain objects. And you're going to practice that thinking and practice your critical writing. So what you're going to be doing is predicting what type of polymer a certain product should be made of based off of the properties of that material and the properties of that polymer. So you're going to do this in a claim, evidence, reasoning, CER format. So you're going to start by making a claim on which type of polymer should be used for the product. You're then going to make a statement of your evidence that should explain the properties of that polymer. And then third, the reasoning, that's where you describe the property of the object and explain why on a molecular level that polymer is the best choice and also exhibits those properties. So for example, and the polymers you're choosing from are in the chart right here. So for example, if we're thinking about a spatula, okay, that's used cooking, right? So my claim would be a spatula should be made of cross-linked polymers. That's the claim. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. 2, evidence. This is where you're stating, this is where you're explaining the property of the polymer. So based on this chart, cross-linked polymers are strong, rigid, lightweight, less dense. I could say any of those things, but up here I said cross-linked polymers are pretty strong and rigid and are also lightweight. Okay. Why did I choose those particular characteristics? Well, in the reasoning, a spatula needs to be rigid, yet lightweight enough so that it can still be handled during cooking. Cross-linked polymers should be used because the chains are connected to each other. All right, the chains are connected to each other, which makes them, creating a tightly connected material that is tough and rigid because we don't want our spatulas to break. But it also, because they're separated a little bit, allows them or makes them light and easy to use. Because you don't want to choose a polymer for a spatula that's going to be super heavy, right? Because this is something that you want to be able to handle. But it needs to be rigid, it needs to be strong, and it needs to be able to take the force of that you might put into it while cooking. So the reality is if you are able to back up your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning with a coherent thought, there isn't necessarily a wrong answer for any of these. So make sure that you're being thorough and just make sure that you're backing it up with something that makes sense. So you're going to think about what polymer a razor blade handle, that you shave with, what that should be, a disposal razor. What polymer do you think that should be? Okay, based on these 4. A plastic bag, which polymer of those 4 should it be? And a Tupperware container, which one do you think that should be? Okay, again, using this polymer chart here and using this idea of your claim, that's where you make a statement which polymer the object should be. Your evidence, that's where you describe the property of that polymer. And then your reasoning is where you connect the necessary properties of the object with the properties of the polymer and explain how the polymer or why the polymer exhibits those properties based on the structure. So talking about about this piece here. Okay, remembering that the longer that a polymer is, the stronger it is. The more branches that it has, the lighter weight it is because they can't pack as closely together. Cross-links also make them stronger because there's those connections. And then the interchain bonding, that's probably the strongest type of polymer because if there's multiple chains, they are connected to each other, linked together, creating a really nice, tightly linked structure. So that is your final assignment for this week. 4 total things that you got to do. I know you can do it. I believe in you. We got this, guys. I know it's crazy. I know this is wild, but let's stay safe. Let's keep learning. Let's keep trying to get better. Please reach out if you have any questions, any problems, any concerns. And I'm thinking about you. Have a great week. See ya.